Did you know we weren't able to do the first episode today, but that doesn't matter because the second episode is coming to you live right now with Stephen Muma, my own personal correspondent of the Buffalo Bills from New York. I don't want to say the first one didn't matter because actually the first person who was supposed to be on today got in a car accident from Indiana. So I'm hoping that we've had some correspondence together. He's good. He's fine. He's safe. It's not really bad the way I said that initially, but he's good. But now we're here. Mr. Steve, always love having you on the show, man. What is good in the Buffalo community and how are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic today. It's a bit cold for Western New York. As I said, we got a lot of snow coming down today as well. So it is what it is. It's winter right here. But yeah, the city of Buffalo and Western New York is definitely buzzing all the way around. Not just for the
see that
Buffalo
little puppy
Bills,
dog face next to you.
not just for
I
the
see a
Buffalo
puppy
Bills.
dog face.
But also, I want to give a quick shout out to the Buffalo Sabres, who have won 14 of their last 16 games, who have the longest playoff drought in the NHL by far, and right now have the top wildcard spot in the Eastern Conference.
Oh, did Pat LaFontaine and Dominic Hasek come out of retirement? Is that why they're so good right now?
Oh, absolutely. No, it's funny you should say that because tonight, the game that they're playing right now, they're honoring the 2005 and 06 team that nearly made it to the Stanley Cup Finals that ended up losing to the Stanley Cup champion Carolina Hurricanes in 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals.
That's fun though, man. Like, it's not fun because it just feels like Buffalo is constantly in this purgatory of, and I mentioned this to Mac yesterday, is like Buffalo had 2 back-to-back championships before the Super Bowl became a thing. They're like, nah, we don't want that trophy. The Super Bowl's overrated. We don't care about that one. The AFL one, that's the one that we care about. And it's so like that, and the Sabres is, what are we supposed to do, man? We're good people. We're good fans.
Just deserve one winner, but
so what is the buzz in Buffalo right now? I know that obviously like expectations are high, and a couple weeks I said it, and I don't want to be the person who says I said it before anybody else because I don't know if it is to be true, but it felt like with there being no Mahomes and there might not be a Jackson and there definitely wasn't going to be a Burrow, that if you're not going to do it now, when's it going to happen? And I don't want to put it in a vacuum of like it has to be that definitive and we can roll down that storyline more. But is the temperature in Buffalo really now or never? Or do they have a little bit more context of we still got time because we got 17?
I think it can be a little bit of both. I mean, Josh Allen, he just turned 30 right now. But, as we have discussed in my previous appearance here, this may be the best opportunity to at least get to the Super Bowl with as a context that you brought out, no Chiefs, which I don't believe anybody saw coming before the season started. No Ravens or no Bengals. I mean, my preseason Super Bowl pick was Baltimore, and they didn't even make the playoffs. But so you just really never know when it comes to the preseason picks. But you look at the road ahead. We got Denver coming up on Saturday, who I think the Bills have a good shot at beating. And then the one team that really, truly scares me is Houston's defense.
So the team doesn't scare you, but their defense does, because I feel the exact same way. Like CJ Stroud does not scare me, even with how bad the Bills' run defense is. CJ Stroud does not scare me. Same thing with Jordan Love. Like the quarterbacks who got the early praise, and Love is weird because he sat for 3 years. Like he's new, but he's old at the exact same time, basically. But Stroud as a person, as an individual quarterback, does not scare me.
No, not at all. He doesn't strike me as somebody who could put his team on his back and carry them to a victory. Not like a certain quarterback that we have here in Western New York.
Jim Kelly.
Yes, that's what I meant.
JP Lossman.
Trent Edwards.
Trent Edwards.
Or
EJ Manuel would like a word with you, good sir.
Jeff Toole.
Jeff Toole. Kevin Kolb. We've had some awful quarterbacks, man.
Yes, we have, but not for nothing. This past Sunday in Jacksonville, Josh Allen, as again we discussed earlier, he really showed what you want to see in a leader that game. As he was playing safe, he wasn't making mistakes, but when he needed to, win the game for you, he was able to, put his team in good position to win that game.
I think and I mentioned this with Mac, and I also mentioned it on like just a standalone episode that I did, is I know what people think that my perception of Josh Allen is, but if you're new to the show, new to the Sports Avengers, or just don't know what I do, I get why you wouldn't understand the things I say, but I don't hate the guy. I'm just tired of nobody giving him any criticism whatsoever. But, however, against Jacksonville, I don't have any criticisms. Like that was the game that he really put everything together. There wasn't the hero ball. It was hero ball in a sense because they asked him to be. That's the difference for me personally, is he played hero ball, but not out of the construct of what the team asked him to do, right? We've seen him do just wild, outlandish things that hurts the team and puts them in a hole, and then he digs them back out. They don't always get back to like ground level, but he might bury them 8 feet and they get back to 7 or 1 foot, technically, if you will. And I didn't see any of that in the game against Jacksonville. It was, we want you to push if we need you to, go ahead and do it. But the hero ball, the improvisation was not part of the equation for him. And he played basically the best. That is probably the best postseason game I've ever seen him play. And that's including the game where they played the Chiefs and Gabe Davis was supposed to be the savior at wide receiver. I feel like he played a perfect football game.
I mean, he did. He definitely didn't put up the gaudy numbers like he did in the perfect game against New England. But as what you stated, he did exactly what he needed to do. He played exactly how Sean McDermott has always wanted him to play. Mistake-free football. Mistake-free complementary football. And the plays that he made was exactly what we needed him to do. That one tush push that went 9 yards. That was something else. I know his offensive lineman carried him, but
I was gonna say, because he's getting, and this is why, and you know as well as I do, like the reason why I do what I do and say what I say is that nobody gives anybody else credit. It's not like he made that 9-yard run on his own. The offensive lineman obviously had a lot to do with it, but he's the quarterback. He's gonna get the most praise and also the most criticism. But that run was pretty dope.
Yeah. Oh, yes, it was. And, when it comes to like the criticism, yeah, he's definitely deserved his fair share of criticism this year, bar none. I mean, he hasn't played during the whole season quite like he has in the past. I mean, you can attribute that to different things, him feeling that he had to do more than he needed to do with the given situation of the wide receivers. But Sunday, you did not see him having to do that. He trusted that his guys were going to catch the ball, and Brandon Cooks, he
might actually save this season for them.
Exactly. He's got to stay healthy though.
that's not hyperbole. I honestly believe that he might be the singular reason if Buffalo does make it to Super Bowl and let's just say does win, he is going to be the unsung hero that nobody thinks about, but he's making the big plays. He is the dude. He's the guy that they've been waiting for.
It's pretty ironic considering how it seemed like Brandon Bean just stood pat at the trade deadline and not decided, he knew what was best for the whole team, and and he ends
Because
up getting Brandon Cooks.
in his mind, he's just doing this. And we know that Brandon Cook's out there somewhere.
Yeah,
we know he's going to be open somewhere, and it might as well be us.
But there's still some plays where he makes some of these catches look a lot harder than they really have to be, though.
He does, and that is an absolute fair critique of the man. But he still makes them, though.
Yes,
we see too many, and I don't like being that person because as the almost 42-year-old who sits behind a keyboard, I don't like saying what somebody should or shouldn't be able to do at the height of athletic ability. But there are times where I'm like, you made that look way more difficult than you needed to, dog. And he does do that. Brandon Cooks does do that, but he still comes up. I firmly believe, has he played for what, 20 teams in the NFL? It's gotta be close because that man is on a different. I actually have to Google where that man is on week 15 every single year because I have no idea where the hell that guy is.
Yeah. He started the year in New Orleans. I knew he spent a lot of time in New England back when Brady was there too.
He was in New England with Brady?
Yes.
I forgot about that because I know that he was in New Orleans, he's in Buffalo, but he's had a bunch of different 4-week stops. And I lose track of where the dude actually is. Oh, no. You're Googling. You're getting your Schefter on right now.
Yeah. No, I mean, the most important thing right now is he is with the good guys in Buffalo.
He's with the good guys in Buffalo. So as you're Googling, and we'll get to last week against the Jags and their new opponent with the Broncos later on. A lot of NFL stuff has happened. Harbaugh to the Giants, Tomlin stepping down. I know that me and Mac talked about this at quite extent yesterday, but I want to get your opinion, and then maybe not that it would flip my opinion, but I am interested to see what your thought process is, and maybe I would look at things differently than what my initial reaction was.
As much as I was kind of surprised about Harbaugh getting fired and Tomlin stepping down, I do believe in both situations that a change did need to be made. There comes to a certain point. Let's look at Harbaugh for a second. Yes, he did win a Super Bowl. He's been a consistent winner. But his teams have shown a tendency to blowing a lot of fourth quarter leads, big fourth quarter leads.
Yeah, they're the number one team of double digit fourth quarter losses in the past 7 or 8 years.
Yeah, and the season opener this year against the Bills was a good start towards that. Up 40-25 with 5 minutes left, and you still end up losing that game.
That game was ridiculous, dude. And that it meant all the marks for having an opening game for the NFL. But it also now that we have a full season to look back at what things were, it's just a microcosm of both teams. And we just didn't know it week one.
Yep. The first comeback for the Bills and the first collapse for the Ravens. And even with having Lamar Jackson on the Ravens, that's been the trademark of this team during the Lamar Jackson era, has been blowing late leads and coming up small in big moments. No.
And there are certain parts to that discussion where I have some pushback because I know that he's I know that he's struggled compared because the thing is that when you look at his regular season numbers and stats, the guy is arguably one of the best 5 quarterbacks that has ever touched any football field at any level. And then you get to the postseason, and that is still he's not the same person. But we have seen also fumbles from play. If somebody fumbles the ball, that is not on you as a quarterback most of the time. Like 99.9%.
Like the divisional round last year, Lamar Jackson actually played pretty good.
He played well, and then Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
Bro. But the thing is, like, in the moment, people were blaming Lamar because that slight little hitch. Yep. That little hitch. No, he put it right on Andrews. Right on him. That's an Andrews thing, not a Lamar thing, in my book.
I can't remember. Did Andrews fumble too and then drop the 2-point conversion?
I know that there was an Andrews drop. I can't remember off the top of my head if it was the same game or if it was a year beforehand, but he did have a fumble in one game. It might be the exact same game.
No, I know in the Buffalo game, I'm remembering the drop 2-point conversion that would have tied the game.
Right.
Now that I remember, Mark Andrews did have a fumble as well.
Okay, I thought that he fumbled in the same game as what he did with the drop on the 2-point conversion, but I couldn't remember exactly. But are there certain plays that Lamar has failed on? Sure, absolutely. I don't believe that every single failure of the Ravens over the past 6-7 years is on him.
No, I don't think so.
But when you're the quarterback and you're the 2-time MVP, and you could say 2.5 times, because I feel like he should have won it last year. You're gonna get all the hatred, man.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it doesn't really help that his teammates really don't really help him out when he really needs them to.
Do you think that they have a really good offensive roster? Because what I've said for the last number of years is just because you address a position, right? Because it's the same thing with the Bills needing a wide receiver. And I don't want to go back down the rabbit hole of they had Stephon Diggs and get rid of him. And now you're complaining you don't have a number 1 receiver. But the Ravens have never had like a really, really true number 1 wide receiver. And when they did or do, it's DeAndre Hopkins, and he's basically our age. Like, he doesn't bring anything to the table anymore. Do you feel like they failed Lamar Jackson as far as the offensive weaponry? But Derrick Henry, to me, was an awesome signing. I feel like everything else has been a failure. Just because you got people at the positions doesn't mean you get the right people.
Which brings me to my next point when we're talking about, the Harbaugh situation too. You see Ravens fans all over social media complaining about Harbaugh almost every single week. And how are you going to find out if it was the coaching or if it was the players? And, it's true. I mean, they really haven't really had a number 1 wide receiver. I mean, I don't really watch them much when the Bills are not playing them, so I don't really see them play. The only time I saw them was the Sunday night game when they put up 40 points against the Bills.
Right. Well, I think what people do is that most fans, what they'll do is they'll gravitate towards what is the most easily digestible thing and then make it a truth. So when it comes to like Zay Flowers was a Pro Bowler last year. He had 1,003 yards. That comes down to like with the extra game, that comes down to about 58 to 59 yards a game. That's not Pro Bowl status, but the people in the playoffs are not playing in the Pro Bowl, right? They're not risking the injury, flag football, whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is that was their Pro Bowler, and people just go, well, you had a Pro Bowl wide receiver. He's not that good. He's a dude, but he's not a true number 1 dude.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, could you imagine if he had somebody like Nakua from the Rams as his number 1 wide receiver?
Bro. So that's a great point. and I made this case yesterday with Mac, is that once the Bills got Stephon Diggs, everybody got to play their true position. To me, Zay is a number 2. If he got take Devontae Adams out of the equation, if you have to play with Nakua, bro, Zay Flowers would look like another number 1 wide receiver, and then he get overpaid, and then somebody else would regret it.
Yeah, that 1-2 combination would be lethal. That would open everything else up. And you get that passing, if you got that vertical passing game, that really good passing game, that opens things up for Derrick Henry, who's getting up there in age. But, he just doesn't have that to help them out.
They don't have anybody who can legitimately win off the line of scrimmage. What I see when I watch Buffalo or Baltimore football, it feels like they're still living off the Baltimore of the early 2000s, where we're gonna play hard-nosed defense, we're gonna run the ball. Like, we get it, like that was your staple, and that was the mantra of what you were, but you don't have the roster in order to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the problem, is that you're still living in the ghosts of Christmas past, and you're not looking at what's in front of you. What's your team now? What does the NFL look like now? And they're just faltering.
Yeah, exactly. It's been years and years since they've had that, physical run game, physical defense, which, is going to be, which is a good sequitur to the next team that we're going to be talking about, which would be the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike Tomlin, because they've moved off from what made them successful all those years ago as well. They used to be a physical type team with a scary defense, and nobody wanted to come into Pittsburgh on a Monday night and play.
But that was 50 years ago, though.
Try 30, 20 years ago. When you go back to
it's not that the environment doesn't still exist, because I believe that fully does. But there was a time, like, before they won their Super Bowls, that team was awful. Then they won 4-6, and then they were just kind of like lazy rivering it. Then they won one, they were down for a while, then they won another one. Like, I feel like they're one of the most overrated franchises in NFL history, really, when you think about it. But to me, honestly, I feel like the Pittsburgh opening is one of the opening positions. I feel like Pittsburgh is the worst position open currently. It's the best if you're young and they're willing to let you have the opportunity to fail, but it's the worst of that. Is the most expensive defense. There's no offensive talent, and man, you better be able to have full opportunity to be able to get the people that you want to turn around, because Pittsburgh, to me, is a dumpster fire.
Absolutely. And I believe I finally truly believe that they are finally setting themselves up to actually finally do a long needed rebuild in Pittsburgh.
They will never say that they're tanking, but is that what you think they're getting ready to do?
They almost have to at this point.
Will they trade Watt?
I mean, if he can see the writing on the wall, I think he may want to get out of there, because, as you said, Pittsburgh is not a desirable place right now.
Pittsburgh is it's one of those things where, like, if you desire longevity of your position, right? Pittsburgh is a place that is going to allow you to have the long leash to make the mistakes, as long as the Rooney who makes the rules is still that Rooney. But the offensive talent is basically nothing. The defensive talent is old as hell. Yeah. That is not it's the only reason why it's a desirable job is only for if they allow you to keep the long leash. If they don't, it's terrible.
Yeah.
If you can make your own decisions and have the ability to make your own mistakes and be creative, then fine, maybe it works. Otherwise, that position is awful.
Now, here's an interesting question. Now, officially, they stated Mike Tomlin resigned. Do you think somebody behind the scenes gave him an extra push to leave?
So I don't. I obviously I'm not there, so I'm not going to say that I know exactly what happened behind closed doors. But when I see what the reason why I name this the Playbook podcast is we look at history and we see what the blueprint's supposed to be based off of your behaviors. And is that on the board? Sure. People change. The people who make certain decisions change. I don't think that it's gotten to that point in Pittsburgh yet, though. What I do feel is that they let him leave on his own. And he's technically not gone. Like he stepped down, but he's on their roster, if you will, where if anybody wants him, they got to trade for him. I told Mac yesterday what it felt like. The only thing for me that was the most surprising thing was when it happened, because I felt a month and a half ago he was going to step down once they lost. But the fact that it was announced right after their loss, that's what I thought was more eye-opening than anything else.
Yeah. So maybe he, as I said, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what's going on in the room. Maybe he was just ready for a fresh start. And maybe he just saw the bigger picture of exactly what you just said. The defense is old, expensive, no talent on the offense. QB's probably going to retire. And, there really is not a bright future, short-term future anyways, for the Steelers. And honestly, I believe, him having that consecutive winning season may have played a little bit of a role there, because I believe the losing season is going to start happening next season for the Steelers.
And that's the weird dynamic that fans and ownership have, right? Because you don't ever want to have a losing season, right? But sometimes you understand that that's part of the equation. Like, it's okay for us to be completely trash for one season, get the game changer. Maybe we fight and we're supposed to underachieve and we overachieve, and then free agents want to come here. There's a lot of moving parts, right? But Pittsburgh has just been so, as the kids would call, mid over the past 20 years.
Yep.
You're not bad enough to get a first round pick. You're not good enough for anybody to want to go and play for you. I've made this comparison beforehand when it comes to like Alabama, is nobody goes to Alabama because they want to live in Tuscaloosa. Like, NIL now has changed the landscape of, you only went to Alabama because that was a factory to get you to the NFL. Now it's not. You can make money where you live, in Oklahoma, Nebraska, Idaho, doesn't matter. You can make money anywhere. You don't have to go to Tuscaloosa to make money. And I feel like that's kind of where we're at with the NFL landscape as well. As I don't have to just go where you say that it's popular. And the coaching carousel also is so ridiculous, where you have no idea it's almost like recruiting. Come here. You can be a starter. I'll be your coach. Will you? Because if you're the coach for the Jets or Giants, the answer to that riddle is no, you won't be in 22 months. You're out of here.
Yeah, because I believe there's right now 7 head coaching openings right now.
I believe so. 'Cause the Giants are the only ones who actually address their situation, right? So there's still 7 more.
Either 6 or 7 more.
Do you like the head coaching hire of Harbaugh to the Giants?
I could see some potential there. The Giants fans have been looking for. They need some spark there for that franchise. Maybe Harbaugh could be it. Maybe not. But it really cannot. You really can't do any worse than what they've had.
I so this I I go back and forth on this a lot because I largely say to myself, or even on the microphone, is, well, who are you gonna get who's better? Like Brian Dable gone. But they thought that he was the answer because he had Josh Allen. And then they won a playoff. It's so weird how winning one playoff game just magnifies how awesome you are at what you do, whether it's Brian Dable or Tim Tebow. You won a playoff game. Congratulations. It's crazy to me that much stock is put into that. But what I will say is I don't think it's a bad hire because I do think that he's a very good head coach. What I do have the problem with is that you're going to be bad next year too. I have no idea. I guess when it comes to the Maras, maybe they just don't care. Monetarily, maybe they just don't care because the coach doesn't affect the salary cap, right?
No.
It's just whatever the owner is willing to pay. And what I would have done if I had billions of dollars is not hire that guy. I would have hired somebody who I thought was young enough. But also, I don't know their owner's temperament. My temperament is, I know where we are. I'll give you a 10-year leash. Do what you got to do, dog. But the Giants, to me, are in no position to really do anything anyways.
I mean, no, they're not. But you also in a division where you could steal a couple more extra wins as well. You never know what you're going to get from Washington. You never know what you're going to get from Dallas, and sometimes they steal a win from Philadelphia. Don't know how, but they do occasionally. But there's a chance there where they could jump up to 6-7 wins right there, especially with the last place schedule and then playing in the NFC.
Do the Giants have the last? And I know that the schedule it's kind of it's low hanging fruit because it's the last schedule based on this year. Say they with the Patriots, they had the easiest schedule by the metrics, and they're the 2 seed. So do you think that actually matters that much going forward with the Giants too? Because anything could happen where maybe that schedule is more difficult, and now they get a better draft pick.
I mean, yes and no. I mean, once you get as you know, because they got a young quarterback who's looked okay, Jackson Dart. I think he could have some potential there. Once these games start going, if you seal a win or two to get your confidence going, I mean, who knows really? And it also
depends on Jackson Dart at all.
I'm sorry?
I don't believe in Jackson Dart at all. Like, I know I seem like a pessimistic old man, but I don't believe in that guy at all.
I mean, the jury's still out on him, but
for sure. You're right. It still is. And I don't want to be hyperbolic and say I know he's going to be trash, but I don't like that dude.
I mean, to be fair, there really has been much like about the Giants organization over the last 10 years.
That's a very fair assessment as well. So Bills beat the Jaguars. They're playing the Broncos. Was it this Sunday or this Saturday?
Saturday at 4:30 Eastern.
All right. Well, it doesn't really matter because I'll have to be at work because with my new job, I am absolutely the new guy. I don't get to have fun. Anyway, so what did you take away from the Jaguars game, and what do you expect in positively or negatively when it comes to Denver? Pros and cons for each.
Well, my takeaway from the Jaguars game was, because I knew how good of a run defense Jacksonville had coming in. They're able to neutralize Cook, and I was pleasantly surprised how well they were actually moving the ball, throwing the ball. It just seems like some of these plays that they were drawing up, Brady never used it during the regular season. It seemed like he was maybe hiding some of the wrinkles. The wide receiver screens, obviously he used it, but this time they actually were working. But you can't be using those plays 10 times a game because it's based off, being able to shake a tackler and, get lucky and spin away and get the extra 5-6 yards. But then you have one of those routes, that deep throw to Brandon Cooks, which we really didn't see this season at all, pushing the ball down the field. That was nice to see.
When I saw that game, and we talked a little bit about this off stages, that game that Josh Allen had is the game that he needs to have the rest of the playoffs for the Bills to actually make the Super Bowl, if not win it. He has to play the mistake-free game, because at some point in time, the problem that I have is I know there's going to be a point where that man is going to try to do something that he shouldn't, and it's going to be a turnover or a huge sack. There's going to be something that he does because he cares too much. And I appreciate you listening to the last episode, because what I mentioned was maybe, just maybe, and I'm speaking for Josh Allen technically on this, is that because he's a husband and a soon-to-be father, maybe that's what's going through his mind, of the maturation of not trying to play hero ball, play with it myself, trust my own instincts, trust what I can do, and not just think that nobody else around me isn't good enough. You got enough good players. They're all in the NFL, man. Everybody told you that you didn't need a true number one wide receiver anyways. So if you don't need one, this roster should be fine. Go work with what you have to work with.
And also what I like too is, yes, he did end up getting beaten up quite a bit that game.
Yeah,
but
he did.
One thing that I really did like was, he just got himself up, went to the huddle, and went to the next play. You didn't see him go point to the ref, going like that, looking for a flag, which I'm very critical.
You did listen to the episode. I do
not like how he flops. I do not like how he goes. But, that's just part of the culture as much as I don't like it. Everybody does that. But it just drives me crazy when you're flopping to get flags.
Yep, 100%. Like, the thing for me is, like, it's such, and this is why I give the refs a lot of leeway as well, because these are the best at what they do, and you have defensive linemen and offensive guards running 4.6 40s. That's crazy. And you only have 4 people on the field to try to judge what you did or didn't do. There's only so many eyes set on what is going on, where the speed of the game is so difficult for officiating to be done. But we still want to have, hey, this punt went out of bounds. Maybe it landed here.
That sequence at the end of the first half was just ridiculous, though. There's no way the Jaguars got that last play off before it won.
So I'm glad that you brought that up, because I wasn't going to be that guy, because I don't like complaining about officiating, because I feel like largely it is a loser mentality and it's an excuse. But bro, 100%. No, there's no way they got that playoff before it hit all the zeros.
But the ball don't lie. The ball don't lie.
The snap doesn't lie either. that was crazy to me.
That was a big momentum changer when he missed that field goal right there. I say 10-7, could have made it 10-10 off of what we described as a bad call, because you never know what happens after that if he hits that field goal. But
exactly.
But in the end, it was just one of those playoff games where nobody really gained momentum until the final 5 minutes of the game. And this was the Bills' first road playoff win since January of 1993, when they beat the Dolphins in the AFC Championship game. Josh Allen, Sean McDermott,
not
playoff game. And
me and Mac talked about that, and I said, well, they missed the playoffs forever, and then when you win your division, you're obviously you're gonna host one.
Yeah,
but
you host one, then you run into a Kansas City team. Or his first playoff game, you blow that 16-0 lead in Houston. It just, or even if you go back before the drought, after their last playoff win in 95, losing in Pittsburgh, losing in Miami to Dan Marino, and then the Music City Miracle in Tennessee. They just never had. They just hadn't had the road playoff luck that we've needed.
Before we get into the wrap up of closing out Jacksonville and moving forward to Denver, you mentioned the Music City Miracle. Do you think it was forward or not?
No. It took me a long time to really get to the point, and watching, that.
So you're okay with the outcome now?
I am. That, because it's not where. Yes, if you look strictly at where the body is, where he's throwing the ball, it does look like he was throwing it forward.
It absolutely does.
The trajectory of the ball, that goes really directly straight on that yard marker, and you can see it on the broadcast. It's very, very close. You couldn't overturn that call in that spot.
Well, I don't know. Did they even have the whole? If it holds up was not a thing, I don't believe, at that point in time. Like it is now. But when I look at that play, it's so weird because I don't get mad about playoff losses anymore. But I see that in every time I see that play, I go, that I swear to God, that was forward. Every time I see it, man.
And that defense,
It was awful. It was such a good. When that happened, I was, God, maybe 16 years old. So story time. I have 3 sisters. My parents went to Anchorage, and they you guys don't know what Anchorage is. So it's about 45, 50-mile drive from where I live to another city. My parents took my 3 sisters and rolled out to Anchorage to go shopping. And I said, well, I want to stay here because I want to watch the Bills game. I saw this game happen, and I was, God, again, 14, 15 years old. I was jumping on the couch. I wasn't throwing anything, but God damn it, if it was in my vicinity, I thought about it. I have never been so mad in my entire life. But now, 25 years later, I go, I was still right, but I'm not angry anymore. I still, in my heart of hearts, I believe that was forward. Not because I wanted the Bills to win so much. I want history to be correct. That's all that I have on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 13-second game makes me madder than the Music City Miracle because,
because of recency or because it's Mahomes or
The fact that you leave that much space open to Tyreek Hill, and he's the fastest dude on the planet, and allow him to gain 30 yards on one play. All that was
Yo, the peace sign was so disrespectful, but if I was that fast, I would have done it too.
yeah. But it is what it is. They just got to get to the Super Bowl. That's it.
I love all they got to do is get to the Super Bowl and everything will be fine. So we covered the Jags a bit. What do you? So the way that I approach Buffalo Bills football is, how could they lose? And that's doesn't mean I'm a bad Bills fan. I know I get labeled that a lot, but how could Buffalo beat Denver? It's in Denver. That defense is just bonkers, and we both know that. How could you see the Bills winning, and what would be the recipe for them to take that L?
James Cook. Make it a James Cook game. The offensive line is.
Do you think so? Are you talking about the running game overall, or James Cook has to cook?
Running game overall. Get the running game established early. We don't have. I believe we only have 3 healthy wide receivers going into this game.
Wait, is it Shakir, Coleman,
and Cooks?
Oh, that's right, because Shavers is done.
Yep. Curtis Samuel did practice fully today, so he's looking good that he's going to step on the field.
So the thing that irritates me, because when teams lose, I see them getting away from what's good about what they actually do. I talked about this with Mac yesterday. Is what are you good at? Running the football. Run the football. Your averages might be awful. Don't get away from what you know. Let Cook, let Johnson, let Allen, if you need to. Not the way that they used him last week, I'm not okay with.
Yeah.
Your backup quarterback is not going to be anywhere ridiculously close to as good as Josh Allen. So let your running backs have 15-ish carries apiece. And then play action, and then let Brandon Cooks run a 9 route, and just maybe it's an ugly game, but pound the football, keep their offense off the field. And it sounds old school, but and then let Brandon Cooks just run his 4.3 speed, because he still has it. Let him have 2 tutties, and they're both 60 yards plus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a recipe to winning that game. I believe it is going to be an ugly football game. Maybe 20-17, 20-13. I think the team that gets to 20 points is going to win this game.
Do you believe that it's weird, because the Broncos and the Bears have had relatively similar seasons where it comes to, like, the defenses are opportunistic and they force turnovers, but their quarterbacks can be great late, and they're kind of banking on that still. What was that?
Denver has a -3 turnover differential. Even with a good defense that they have, they don't exactly force the turnovers that you would think they would.
Oh, I thought that they did. I know Chicago does. Like, Chicago has, like, their turnover differential is crazy. I didn't know it though. But even still, when it comes to Denver and Buffalo, it's just, do you think that Sean Payton is not going to outsmart himself? Because every year there's somebody who's a head coach who outsmarts himself and gets away from what they're supposed to do. The Bills' run defense is awful. You should run it 60 times. Do you think that they will? Or do you think they're going to actually have Bo Nix try to be the savior and say, well, you know what? That's my quarterback.
No, I don't think they're going to do that. It's like, Jacksonville was showing success with running the ball, and then they still threw
their backup running back averaged more than 10 yards a carry on the first drive, and they went away from that dude.
Yes. And they still had Trevor Lawrence throw the ball 30 plus times, which, if you ask me, that was mind-boggling in itself. But I don't believe anybody will stick to the running game. We've been saying that for the Bill. We've been saying that to the Bills for years, because they kept getting away from the running game, and because that's what the modern NFL is. It seems like they are making a trend towards making running backs a little more valuable, but it's still a pass-heavy league.
So the way that I look at the NFL now, is that we used to look at it as you run to set the pass, right? Yep. That was always the way that we were taught. That's how things were projected. And now it's more you pass to set the run because linebackers are slimmer, defensive linemen are slimmer. It is becoming a pass-happy league, if you will. But running the football circumstantially still matters. That still applies to this sport. And whoever decides to actually lean into that process, I think wins this game. That's my biggest thing. I know that Denver's defense is awesome, but it's mostly through the passing game. And both running games are fine. I know that James Cook is, to me, that man should have had MVP consideration. And the fact that he didn't is really irritating to me, but that's just me being a James Cook and sometimes running backs matter guy. But if he gets going and Ty Johnson is good, the Bills can win. But if they want to put this all on Josh Allen, they will lose. And they'll lose by 4.
Yep. Probably by the dumbest play you could possibly ever imagine, too. That's just the way Buffalo playoff football ends up happening. But, just stick with the run. Stick with the run. Just hammer it down all day. Even if it's, a tush-push. Because situationally, is what you were talking about. The Bills when you need the short yards from a running back, Bills aren't a very good team with the running backs if you need a run on 3rd and 1. That's why you have to go to Allen on those quarterback sneaks. As much as I do not like the tush-push, and I don't.
It's wild that entire franchise wanted it banned, and that's what saved their season.
Yep. Oh, yeah, that was...
I can tell your irritation. Like, you're a very even-keeled person, but I can read the facial expression. You're like, this stupid tush-push, man.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, people were telling me again, as we go back for a second, is I want to touch up a little bit on the late game clock management. People kept saying, why don't they just take a knee before they score the touch on the 1 yard line? And
no, you take the points.
You got to score. Because as I've stated, they are not a good short yardage running team. We've seen the Bills lose when they needed 1 yard. The Tennessee game on Monday night, when Josh slipped on the 1 yard line.
Multiple times.
Yes, you got
and that offensive line has not changed over that much either.
And a part of me why I was fine with them scoring when they did was you also got to look at who you're playing on the other side there. Patrick Mahomes is a lot different than Trevor Lawrence. I had no faith that Trevor Lawrence would lead that team down the field.
I love that you said that because you know that Patrick Mahomes lives rent free in every single Buffalo, New York apartment.
Yep.
Whether it's actual where you live or in your mind, he lives rent free. You're 100% right. The stigma would be there if it was Mahomes. Nah, I don't care if we're on the road. This is Trevor Lawrence. We're not worried about him. You nailed it, dude.
And he had, he may have only thrown one interception. He could have very easily thrown 5 on Sunday.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And you know what? Josh Allen has the exact same thing most days. But again, this is not a negative experience. I'm gonna keep my composure. He played well. I am very worried about if the pressure. I'm not worried about him having the pressure get to him. What I'm worried about is just him doing things where he feels like he needs to be the dude 100% of the time, and that being the reason why they lose to Denver.
Yeah, because you also got to remember across the field, you got Patrick Surtain Jr. over there in Denver, and if you force the ball that direction, he's going to pick that off and probably take it the other way for a pick six.
One, if he puts his hands on it, yeah, it's probably going the other way for 6. But we talked about this a little bit earlier is that if these coaches just stop trying to outsmart themselves. I don't care if you make it ugly, man. Stop trying to make it look like Josh Allen is the reason why you're there.
Just get him a rep by any means necessary.
By any means necessary. Thank you. And that is all that I'm saying.
Like if you look back at the last time the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, they had no true number one wide receiver. Their best wide receiver was Valdez-Scantling, I believe, and they still ended up winning the Super Bowl. Although, granted, they did have Travis Kelce too, and Andy Reid's a little bit different than McDermott. But
that defense was also bananas from top to bottom, where Buffalo's run defense is atrocious and their pass defense is like top 3. Like the Kansas City defense was more. They were still great, but there wasn't such a wide gap between worst and best.
Well, I kind of want to touch up one thing. Tre'Davious White, I tell you one thing. He
balled out last week, dude.
He has been balling essentially for the last month. And this has been something that I did not see coming at all. It seems like he's just went back in time and his younger self is taking his place. Sunday was remarkable.
He looked like 25-year-old all-pro Tre'Davious White.
And after everything he's been through, I feel so
lost his parents, the Achilles injury. Yep. That man, and then to come back to Buffalo, he's one of my favorite players ever, and he's only 32, 31. I love Tre'Davious more than I think that most people actually would ever. It's a weird thing to say, but I really appreciate what he's done for that community and for my fanhood.
Yeah. And then just seeing him, I don't know if you saw the clip when they were showing the final stadium montage at the final game at Highmark. They showed a clip of Tre'Davious looking up at the
dropper. You were there. I didn't see it. God, you're such a just flexing all the cool stuff that you have.
And they did a close up of him just looking up at the jumbotron. A few tears came rolling down his eyes. So I know that stadium is going to be missed by everybody.
The stadium will absolutely be missed, and I know that Tre'Davious also only has maybe 1 year of like legitimate being potentially a starter. Buffalo, I would like to think, really appreciates him and what he did because he was in that draft with Mahomes. He's the reason why we even got him in the first place.
Yep.
So I would like to believe that Bills fans would appreciate what he has done directly or indirectly. He's one of the best people that I do. I love that man. And if you ever meet him, tell him I think he's a really cool dude.
I'm not sure if I did. I did work I did work at Fisher, but I don't think he was one of the players I met. I met Kyle Williams. That dude was a nice guy.
Dude, he's such a gargantuan human being. Oh,
That he is.
before we leave, now that you brought this up, who's the nicest and the most jerk Bills player? I'm gonna put you on the spot. The most nice and the worst person ever that you met who actually played for the Bills.
Nice, Kyle Williams. And Marcellus Wiley. I met him when I was 14 at
He
St. John.
seems like he'd be a good dude.
He was. Funny little story is, because this was the last year I could be in the kids' autograph line because I was 14. I was the very last person until they cut off. So I was the last person to get an autograph. So he stayed for about 10 minutes. And I chatted up with Marcellus Wiley. We were talking about, Music City Miracle and Go Titan, or you guys better beat the Titans. And,
so this was like Sports Nation.
No, this was
before Sports Nation.
He was playing for the Bills. And I was the last kid in line for the autograph. So he gave 10 minutes to talk to me.
How old are you?
I'm 40. So I was 14 at the time.
13. Wow, we are getting really old. I'm almost 42. So
and then the biggest jerk. I'm not going to go with the player. I'm going to go with coaches. The Ryan brothers. Rex and Rob Ryan were.
Rob Ryan seems like he would be a complete asshole. I've thought maybe he's a jerk, maybe he's not. I honestly thought that you were going to say Dick Duran.
Nope. No issues with that. Rex Ryan was just. Both of them were just jerks.
I don't know if I've ever been more happy in my entire life than you confirming that the Ryan brothers are complete, just not good people.
Yep. And then, the last thing, then the very next year, this is my last year working at camp. This is where Sean McDermott won me over as a fan. He walked up to every single one of us, shook everybody's hands, and thanked us for our work. And, whether his tenure ended up good or bad, he won a fan for life. So he did not have to do that. And I always appreciated that he did. So Sean McDermott, I'm really rooting for him to get that Super Bowl for him.
That's the thing is that everybody wants coaches to get fired if they don't reach a certain platform or reach a level by their expectations. But I honestly do believe that what you do in the community matters. As far as how we perceive you, right? Like, is it a Hall of Fame worthy thing? Maybe not, because that's only the Gold Jackets. But man, he does. He strikes me as the kind of person, and you never know, right? Because we've seen people who are supposed to be good people who are awful.
Yeah.
Awful human beings. He doesn't strike me as that. And I'm with you. I would love to see that he gets what he is. I hope you have the day that you deserve.
Yeah.
And I hope that day is a Super Bowl victory for the Buffalo Bills with Sean McDermott as their head coach. I'm with you on that.
And then, if not, he's still a class act all the way. So
he is a habitual clapper.
We all do sometimes.
Yo, he loves that clapping dog. Well, anyway, we are gonna go ahead and hang it up for the day. That was my man Stephen Mumma, the one and only Buffalo Bills correspondent from the great state of New York. We don't need New Jersey.
Nope.
The Jets and Giants, You're not the New York anything. You're the New Jersey nothings. Yeah, there's that smile. There's that smile that I was hoping for. But you guys know the drill. Stay up. Stay blessed. We'll catch you guys on the next one.